Good afternoon, everybody. It is 5:30. We'll call this afternoon's meeting to order for Tuesday, June 15th. And our first item is the approval of the agenda, and we do have one agenda addition, and that's consideration of terminating Resolution 2020-15, State of Emergency for COVID-19.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Gross, second by Commissioner Ebinger. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Citizens to be heard. Do we have any citizens to be heard on items not on the agenda? I think the folks in the crowd are here for the agenda. Nothing online?
Nothing, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. We will move on to approval of bills and vouchers.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gross, second by Commissioner Kaylee. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Approval of minutes from June 1st, 2021.
Move to approve minutes.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Kaylee, second by Commissioner Ebinger. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Our next item is request to fill vacancy for Assistant County Attorney. County Attorney Brian Milton. Good afternoon.
Evening, Mr. Chair,
It is evening, isn't it?
Commissioners. This is a vacancy that just came vacant recently. I got notice last week, but got a fairly lengthy, it'll go through July 9th. He is one of my current assistant county attorneys. He's moving back to his hometown area of Grand Rapids along with his fiancee. So it's really just a move. It is a budgeted position and a much needed position, so I'm asking to be able to fill it immediately or begin advertising for it to fill it by the July 9th timeframe.
All right.
Move to approve the position. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gross, second by Commissioner Ebinger. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. All right, Brian, you're good to go. All right, next we have a request to fill vacancies for juvenile worker and a juvenile counselor. Good afternoon, James, you're just in time.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'm here today to request to fill 2 vacancies we have in our secure unit. Both of them are included in our 2021 budget.
Okay, so would either of these have the potential for backfill?
They could, because one of them is a counselor position, the other one's a worker position.
Okay.
It depends on what we get
Okay,
for applicants, and
I guess I would suggest that we approve it with backfill if needed.
I would make that motion with the backfill included.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ebinger, second by Commissioner Gross. Any further discussion? Okay, Commissioner Kaylee, you have a question?
Just one question. Have you been able to fill any of your other vacancies?
we have, this will be our 3rd vacancy. It's tough, it's very tough, and then the model that we run about 40% variable hour, and we're struggling in that area too, so.
Well, we wish you luck. Hope you're able to get your staff back to the numbers you need. With that, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thanks, James.
Thank you.
Our next is a request to fill vacancy for correctional officer in the correctional facility, Justin Roberts. This is kind of a trend here. We're doing a lot of filling positions here.
Good evening, Mr. Chair.
Good evening.
Commissioners. Yeah, so I'm here. We had another vacancy. This individual left for Records Department, Moorhead Police Department. So it is in our 2021 budget for this position. Probably be cost savings. The individual's been with us for about 3 years. So, and it is part of our DOC mandated staffing plan.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gross, second by Commissioner Ebinger. Any further discussion? Yes.
Just to reiterate, Commissioner Colley's last question. How many openings have you got now?
So with the backfill component into kind of promoting, when I was promoted, we are now short 8 individuals. I did just this week hire 2 variable hours that were current variable hours into full-time positions. We are currently backgrounding 2 individuals and in the process of hopefully backgrounding another 3 with some more interviews coming up. So things have been looking up a little bit. We have 2 positions that are, one's a program position and another one is kind of the backfill component of me being promoted, which will kind of be the last 2 positions that we fill, just so we can get staffing back on the shifts to full staff.
Well, good luck. It's tough, I know.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. All right, next we have a presentation and request to accept proposed guaranteed maximum price for bid packet number 2 for the Resource Recovery Campus. We have with us construction engineers, and Kirk, you're gonna start this off?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair.
You wait till you get to your microphone.
Hot off the press. We have one here that's gonna test your eyes, see how good your surgery went. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Come before you today to approve the second bid package. As you remember, we came before you several weeks ago with the first bid package, and that was for guaranteed price, just as this is a guaranteed price for the second part. The first part is basically was for the materials that there was a real question about the cost going up, and as Ben will talk a little bit today, the prices are indeed going up, but we're locked into those prices, so that's excellent for us. In addition, the second bid package, we will be having a guaranteed maximum price at that point in time, so we'll be in pretty good shape at that point in time. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ben, and he can talk a little bit about what they have in store for us.
I'm going to turn it over to Lance, pretty much run through this, actually.
Yeah, so I'll start on the third page, the one that says bid package number 2 at the top. So this is the second piece of what we talked about last time. The first page is a roll-up, kind of the entire snapshot. So for construction engineers, what we're looking for approval today is of this sheet. And it is the remaining, all of the remaining work for the project, for the amount of $3,700,923. So we've got all the scopes listed there with the prices we received. Also wanted to touch on a few alternates that is on the final page. There was 3 alternates that were bid as originally designed, part of the contract documents. The first one is to change the site paving from asphalt to concrete. The second is to add lightning protection. The third is to add landscape irrigation system to basically like the front lawn part of the building. And then the last 2 alternates are what we call value engineering alternates. One is to remove skylights from the transfer station. As we discussed the other day, you know, there's some money there that might be saved in the transfer station. Skylights are likely to get kind of dirty and grimy, so kind of thought if can save the money and maybe you've got lighting that gets kind of less useful as the building gets older, it might be something we're considering. And then the value engineering alternate number 2 is just a budget, as it's a very kind of schematic idea, is to have a south entrance into the site as the second entrance in lieu of doing the 34th Street improvements. There's obviously pluses and minuses to that, but there's a $500,000 budget savings possible for that. So, the alternates, as we've discussed, in the building committee meetings, aren't something that, need action today. I think the Valley Engineering for the south entrance is probably, the one that would matter the most, as that's a pretty major project that will likely happen this season, so we either kind of need to get that person on board, or they may move on to other work.
If I can, based on our meeting yesterday, we had some conversations about these items, and certainly, I don't think there was a recommendation to do alternate number one. Sometimes if you can get concrete at a similar price to the asphalt, it's worth, but that's a significant difference. The lighting protection, I think the experts are saying it's really not necessary.
Not on this building,
Right,
this
Ben?
type of height,
Okay.
so.
Mr. Chairman, that was my recommendation initially. I'm an old fire guy, and we used to call lightning money sticks, so I thought we should try and protect the building, but
I think they said it's grounded.
yeah, in this case it is, so.
Right. And then I kind of looked to Joe for his thoughts on the 14,000. We don't have to decide that today, but
But that's the site plan I just handed out.
Okay.
If you look inside that kind of dotted line, that would be the.
that's what
area
that 14 would do.
Would irrigate, so directly in front of the building, kind of your parking lot area and immediate
And so I was gonna,
public space.
I was thinking about this. Is there gonna be a tree, like a tree line or, like in front of 34th Street?
Yeah, if you actually look at the drawing handed out, the circles, the larger circles you see on that are actually representative of trees. So it kind of surrounds the truck scale, the building, and then primarily more along the north side of the property, not so much along 34th, not that they couldn't be relocated. You've got a bit more of a ditch scenario along 34th.
But the irrigation wouldn't cover all of those trees. It would just be
Well, I was thinking more of the trees from an aesthetic standpoint, from driving back. You're probably not gonna see a lot of the, like you do when you come to the front of the courthouse and your lawns and stuff here. There's a difference. I don't know if, that's the decision that we kind of wanted to leave for the board to determine on that.
I guess I had a question on that too, putting trees up front there. Now we're talking about irrigation for 14,000 and maintenance. What if we just paved that area? Is that possible, or just, wouldn't it look right, or?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, it's something we can definitely take a look at it, but I think one of the things, the PCA, for example, they want to try and keep his way from as much hard surface as possible.
That could also change the scope of our pond needs. The more hard surface you have to also expand your pond. So that can become an issue. So I guess it's a matter of if the board feels we want to have nice lush grass out there or not, if it's important for that area. Commissioner Colley.
Can we do prairie and then we don't have to water it?
So, to clarify that, on the site plan you're looking at here, the bulk of the property is kind of a prairie grass or low-maintenance type product. The only stuff that isn't is pretty much the part that we're showing the irrigation. There's a little more around some of the truck scales and stuff, but all the perimeters of the property would just be that type of stuff that you mow twice a season.
I kind of like the idea of alternatives than to just have to, then you're gonna have to mow it and, I don't know, it's, for that type of setting, we got, think of what's going in and out of there already. It's that, Unless there's a dying need to add,
That's why I asked, I mean, that's spending a bunch of money. Of course, I don't know what it costs to pave it, so I don't have that price, so I don't know.
Yeah, paving would be significantly more expensive. But, yeah, I think Joe's comment was as long as you don't ask my guys to come over and water it twice a week, I'm fine not doing the irrigation, but, yeah, for sure, it doesn't need to be there for you to have acceptable levels of grass. It's just not gonna
the
be.
grasses go dormant if it's dry. Yeah.
Yep.
There,
I would think we could save 14,000.
I think so.
Okay, are you good with that?
If we need it there, I probably need it in my lawn too then.
So the next item on here that we talked about, that skylight number was originally more than that, and we came to a recommendation is that we should remove the skylights from the transfer station, but leave them in the other areas of the building.
correct.
So that would save us 42,000. I think the total of all of them, if they would have put them all in, was about 142,
It was
was
128.5.
125, okay.
Yep, so this is 15 of the 41, removing 15 of the 41.
Okay.
That 34th, excuse me, that 34th Street improvement, is that just a one-way down the south part of it? Is that just do you come in from both ways?
So-
north and South?
The way the plans are and the way we are including it in the GMP right now, we have about $1 million in there to improve 34th Street, which would include a new entrance at the north side of the site, and then a new entrance and turn lane coming into the south side of the site. What would change in this is that we would eliminate that south entrance on 34th and move our entrance to 15th, and basically route traffic through the site instead of
Can-
improving on
Yeah,
34th.
and we have a little, can we just finish on the 42,000 first? I guess, because I guess they'd like to know, so are we good with the alternate where we'd remove the 42,000 for the skylights? Okay, all right, Frank, are you good? Okay, now going to that other one, the issue that I had with that proposal, it's a little bit scary to me that, because now you're putting a lot of your truck traffic entering and exiting off of 15th Avenue North as opposed to 34th Street north of 15th Avenue, where traffic has diminished, and you're putting it onto an area that's really got an awful lot of car traffic and pedestrian traffic, bike and walkers, and so we did ask to have Steve take it to the Moorhead engineer to see what, if they'd have some issues with putting it there. And then keep in mind, if we ever decide to have another use for that land, that we've had some talks and long-term planning of what could potentially go in there. Do you want to be sharing that with garbage trucks and things coming in and out of that driveway? I know it's a lot of money. It's, that we could look at it savings, but in the grand scheme of things and from a public safety standpoint, and have we heard back from the city of Moorhead?
Mr. Commissioner, Mr. Chairman, we have not heard back.
Okay.
One thing I also wanted to point out.
Do you want to turn your mic on? Sorry.
Thank you. The answer was no, we have not heard back from the city yet. I did want to point out one thing, that we intend to have all the transfer stations head out on 34th regardless of whether we eliminate that entrance on the south. What we hope to do is have them go on 34th, head north, and then I think it's 18. They take a right to go to the east, and then they'll avoid all of Dilworth and Glendon.
That is for the semis that would leave to go
The
either
transfer.
the landfill or Perham. But I'm talking about all the traffic that's
Right.
entering and exiting off of 15th. Do we want that? And and again, I wasn't comfortable with it until I heard from Morehead Engineering, the city of Morehead's engineering, traffic engineers too. I know there's a lot of, and again, the other issue is what our future plans are and how do we want to share that entrance? And I don't know that it would be appropriate if the discussions we've had from a long-term capital standpoint, if it would be in our best interest to share that driveway with that traffic. And the idea of getting multiple access, ingress and egress accesses that close together, close to 34th Street, you're not going to be able to, I don't know if you're going to get more than one. Just knowing my experiences with the volume of traffic and how many driveways you can have in a given area. So it's the board's choice. If you want to save $500,000 in that regard, we can do it, but is it the best thing?
That's a lot of money, but along the lines of where you're going, we would end up, if we end up with other uses out there and we end up with a traffic flow that's problematic, particularly to people who are biking and who are walking in the area, we'll end up having to do the repairs anyway, or the changes anyway. I'd like to see a traffic study, or at least Morehead doing an evaluation of this. It may take a while, they may need to go out there and get a count, but I really would be interested in seeing a response from a traffic engineer.
The one thing that, and I don't know, Ben, or if you guys can, Lance, if you can, what your timeline for the work on 34th Street. I know Houston Engineering is doing that work on behalf, along with the city of Morehead, but what's the time frame for that? Do we have some time, or?
Yeah, the intention would be that we would, if we're gonna do the 34th Street work, we would like to jump into it this year, just so we can, gives us access for construction for our own trucks and everything that are coming in and out as we're constructing the project. So ideally for us, we would shut that down if possible, and turn the work around in August, September, something like that. Not to say we can't work other methods out.
One of the options that we have here, and as we look at these, this request for bid package number 2, and then that would bring our grand total, which we haven't got to, and we talk about it, of this project being upward, now that is fine print, so I even have to put my readers on. But we're at about 20,864,000. And, based on our finances that we've been looking at, we have a $7.5 million grant. The proposal would be to use about $3.5 million of our solid waste reserves. And then we're looking at a bond for this of about $9.2 million, I think, is somewhere where we're at. And the price tag on that, based on a 2.5%, would be somewhere in the area of $650,000 a year bond payment, which kind of falls within our target area of what we're looking at from how we pay for it and that process. So keeping that in mind, one of the things that we could do is we can approve this bid package today, and going to your idea, Commissioner Ebringer, is to maybe get the city of Morehead to, I think we really need to get their feedback on that traffic. And if they say that they can live with that there and they think it's appropriate and it's safe, then we could always, that would also leave $500,000 that we would still have available as a contingency, and if we don't use it, we don't use it. I think you guys are here today and you want to get a final on this thing so you can have free rein to go to get it done on a timely basis and think we should do that. And I know we're meeting as a finance committee Monday. I think it's Monday. Steve, is that correct? Next Monday?
Yeah, next week, yep.
And then we'll be presenting to the full board soon after that how we plan to pay for all this, of which we think we have we've got to come up with $9.2 million someplace, and I think we've got some options, so.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to point out that there has been a traffic study done, and it was looked at very, very closely. I agree with you also, Mr. Chairman. I was real reluctant to move ahead on this because the city of Moorhead really hadn't been contacted on this, and, we do need to have their input, obviously. So I think it would behoove the project to touch base with them before we do anything too drastic.
It's clear we want those big trucks to leave and to go out on 34 to 18. I think that's bypassing, Center Avenue and Dilworth on those trucks if we can, but the garbage trucks, and there's a lot of them that go in and out of there, and those are the ones I'm concerned with. In terms of 15th Avenue has become a real, I happen to live a block off of 15th Avenue, and it's pretty busy. So, I think the proposal here, and I guess Steve, in our meeting yesterday, we agreed that, recommend that we move forward with bid package number 2.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if I may, just looking back at the other packet of information from dated 6/15/2021, part of the original plan that we discussed in bid package 1 was covering 17 of the 20 acres.
Yes.
And with not putting that storage unit on, we still have the 17 acre dollar figure here and not the,
We have to adjust that.
so that would be another $82,147.50.
Okay. Did you, okay.
Yes, Mr. Chair, but that isn't part of the bid package. I mean, that's part of the overall project.
Correct. But I just want, from the board's standpoint, if we're looking at a total GMP of the project, we would want to.
So that number would fall in the gray area, which is ours anyway.
Correct, yes.
So what we're doing here with the action today, the recommended action today, we would basically be authorizing or getting a gross maximum price for construction engineers portion of the project of $18,405,633, right?
Correct, minus the
Minus the,
42,026.
there is mud? Was the irrigation in there?
I
That'd be an add.
noted that down, rejected,
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we're saying no to the irrigation.
yeah.
So we're saying that we could save another 500,000 by putting those 2 entrances on 34th.
No, one entrance. One entrance. The other one still has to go on 34th.
Okay, you got one on 34th, but there isn't anything showing here going on 15th on this map, is there?
Frank, the original plan had both the in and out
On 15th.
on 34. And that was the plan all along, was to have them both on 34th Street, north of 15th Avenue. And now they're saying they come back and they could put one of the two on 15th Avenue. The other one would still need to be on 34th.
Okay, so you're planning them, we can save 500,000 by putting one on 15th.
Yeah. And we can still do that, Frank, but I think for today, until we hear from the city of Moorhead, I don't know that we should make that decision.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioner, I think one of the reasons that the second entrance on 15th came up is that as part of the value engineering that, Burns and Mack did and construction engineers, I mean, they were looking for ways to to try and cut costs, and that's why I think that option came up.
I think that would reduce the cost of a turn lane on 34th, is that correct? That's how you save the $500.
Right, yep. It would basically remove all work on that street.
And I'm not so sure that at some point in time, that turn lane wouldn't be needed anyway. And then we just have to go back and do it. So, but we, irregardless, we can prove, and we still have time to make that adjustment if you want to do that, but I really think we should wait to hear from Morehead Engineering, City of Morehead Engineering.
Right, and to be clear for the board's information too, that number isn't
That's not part of the,
it's a budget, it's a
yeah,
order of magnitude, but, like you said, Mr. Chairman, the acceptance right now of the 3.7 plus the deduct alternate will still allow you to make a decision to do it either way. So I would say that value engineering alternate is not really to the point of being accepted. So I think with the fact, that you've got more information you want, it's kind of for your information at this point. Because we couldn't really take the deduct until it was fully designed and priced, kind of either way.
well, yeah, and I guess if we couldn't get the necessary requirements from the City of Morehead, it'd be pretty tough to do it anyway. Commissioner Ebinger.
The alternate proposal would be an entrance off of 34th, exit onto 15th. Am I understanding that correctly?
No. I think essentially what we're looking to try and do, or what the option, the primary option or the initial option is to have two entrances on 34th. So we'd have a left-hand turn lane on 34th, and then we'd have an exit basically for the transfer trailers that are going to Perham in the landfill on the north. What has been proposed through the value engineering is to have just the exit on 34th to the north, get rid of the turn lane to the south on 34th, and instead have an entrance on the 15th.
All trucks entering 15th.
Right. And those are garbage trucks. Those are all garbage trucks.
And semis.
Right. But again, Mr. Chairman, we haven't talked to the City of Morehead on the second option yet, and so this is just an informational item, probably more than anything else. We need to talk to them to find out if it's something that's acceptable to them.
Well, I think they would ultimately have to approve it
Right.
in order, in order to go onto their street. So for us to, we can't make that change without, there's been dialogue. They're aware of both of them off of 34th Street.
Right.
That's the question, just whether you can put two X's that close together or entrances. I don't know, you probably checked that out already, but,
Yeah, well, there's an entrance and an exit.
right now, that entrance, and then putting it that way makes sense to me, I guess, so. If that's what, like you said, we don't have to vote on that tonight, or,
Well, no, I don't think we do, because we can pull that,
okay.
I really don't, Mr. Chairman, I really don't think you can vote on it right now because we just don't have the information.
We don't, that would have to receive the approval of the City of Morehead Engineering anyway.
Right.
So we might as well get there, sort of pull it out before we can do that. They're aware of the design of both of them being on 34th Street. All right, so we have a recommendation to authorize bid package number 2, which would then put the GMP for this project at 18,405,633 minus 42,026 and minus 14,445. Is that correct?
Not the 14,445. That would be,
Oh, that's because that fell in the gray.
Oh, yeah.
That's right, that's right.
yeah.
The irrigation was part
Irrigation would be an add alternate, so.
Right, okay, that's right.
Yeah, that's included.
You're right. I
No.
stand corrected.
I know you said at the beginning to lock in prices on materials and stuff. What if the price of material goes down? Does that change anything, or, I mean, I said a dumb thing there, but okay.
Yes, this is to get a guaranteed maximum price. So if there are some ways we can save jobs, save money on the job, we continue to work with the committee throughout. And I think in the past, we've been able to prove that
Yeah.
we come up with options and continue to present throughout, so.
All right,
I will move to approve bid package number 2 as described.
all right. We have a motion by Commissioner Colley,
Second.
second by Commissioner Abinger. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried, all right. Ben,
Thank you very much.
Chance, we probably done seeing you around now for a while, huh? The money guy, he gets in and gets this all stirred, now he'll go on to other projects.
Yep.
Can't get rid of me that easy, though.
All right, well, we'll see a lot of you, Ben.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Okay. (2020) update on financial documents.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. On your desks this evening, you should have a packet of information, financial information. The first document that we're going to start with is
Commissioner, Steve, I'm wondering if, and I should have thought of this earlier, but I'm wondering if we could delay this conversation till next week. Commissioner Mojo was one that really requested this too, where we're at last year and year to date, and, you know, she needed to be absent today, and I guess I would, either that or you can do the presentation twice, and I'm comfortable with you doing it once, but if it's okay with the board, I know Commissioner Mojo she asked last week. You know,
Sure.
for an update, and if it's okay with you and the board.
Do we need a motion to table that since it was on the agenda?
Move to table.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Eber, second by Commissioner Colley, and I think that is non-debatable. Motion to table, so all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Thank you, motion carried. I guess she really had interest in that, and I think it would be, nothing's gonna change from today
Right.
till next Tuesday anyway, so. All right, so with that, we'll go into our committee reports.
No,
Mr. Chair,
Oh,
did you
did I
want to
miss
do the
something?
addition?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, we have the addition. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. We have an agenda addition for your consideration this afternoon. This afternoon, we did meet as a PIC committee. One of the issues that has been brought forward in questioning, back in March 17th of 2020, this commission approved a state of emergency on Resolution 2020-15 in response to COVID-19. We've been operating under that resolution to date, and what that allowed us to do was some flexibility in our procurement to respond to COVID. It also provided the opportunity for our employees who were essentially salaried to earn overtime versus a flex pay or flex time. And so today our PIC committee met to discuss this. We also, in addition to our PIC members, we did have Gabe Tweeten, our emergency manager. As a part of that, he shared that many of his emergency managers they're having this discussion across the state right now. And Gabe's recommendation, along with the PIC, was that we bring this forward with the understanding or the recommendation of terminating the resolution for the state of emergency at COVID-19. And with that, I would stand for any questions.
All right.
Well, we discussed this at the, like I said, he said at the big meeting, and since it's not gonna affect the CARES Act or anything like that, we decided we could end an emergency because we're asking all our employees to come back. Trying to go to normalcy, so let's get rid of the resolution, and was our recommendation. I move that we delete it.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Gross,
Second.
second by Commissioner Edminger. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Steve, how about the issue with the temporary guard issue? Are we going to deal with that
We'll
next?
we'll bring that to the full board next week.
Okay, very good. All right. Have I missed anything else? No? All right, we'll go into our committee reports. And I'm gonna start with Commissioner Gross today, as he catches his,
Yeah, so I can clear it up here,
okay.
didn't spill too much. Okay, last Tuesday, I started out with at the tracking committee meeting. There was discussed, road markers. I don't know if you're acquainted with the road markers on the diversion, project. They were talking about putting road markers up and what kind to put up. Talked about the county road tour, which we took on, yesterday. Also, we talked about the local road improvement funding. We received $800,000 there. So that's gonna help our project on highways and stuff like that, and roads. However, the other items that we discussed was the, on Highway 8, construction overruns, pretty much took care of that $800,000 in a hurry. So we had a lot of overruns there because of some material that didn't work out that we thought was the way it was gonna work out, but they had to redo quite a bit of stuff down there on Highway 8. And the other thing we talked about was the paving on Highway 2, paving on 8, and the Hawley project, we didn't drive that well, of course, we were all there yesterday. We didn't go to downtown of Hawley, but there is a road project going on, five blocks there that we're taking care of it. They're working on it a little bit different than I thought they would, but they're taking one block at a time the way it looks to me now. I don't know what the purpose is there, but not for me to, I guess, to decide on that. Tuesday evening, I went to Spring Prairie Township. There's a Scott Temple there from, I think it was Noble Electric or whatever. They're putting up around 5 more solar panels along Highway 9, so going up that road there, there's quite a few of them up there already. So there's gonna be about 5 more sets of them going up there. He just asked for a permit for 1 more at that time. Talked about that FEMA map that we approved last week. It's gonna involve some of the people out there in Spring Prairie Township. They were glad to hear that news about that, so, from, Spring Prairie Township, I went over to Riverton Township. There we talked mostly about roads, and they're very concerned about how their roads are being taken care of. So I've got to get, Dave was out there also. Dave and Kim were both out at that meeting also. And we discussed about what we can do, whether it takes retraining of operators, whether it's just doing things different way, or whether it's just a bad year. When it's dry, it's pretty tough to work with the roads, but that was a discussion at Riverton. Wednesday, I started off with the Wild Rice Watershed Board. Routine action as far as with financial report permits and stuff like that. Other than that, they've got some problems too with the valuation of properties, just like we are, and I think it's Highway 1 or something like that. We have to take eminent domain to finally get that project going, and they're gonna have to do the
Potentially,
same.
yeah.
They're gonna have to do the same thing there at some property up there, that Norman Polk Polk County project. Other than that, it was just like I say, pretty much routine business at the Wild Rice. Let's see. Wednesday evening, I went to Moline Township. And just went over some of the stuff that we're doing at the county, which I've been doing with all the other townships. But Moline was quite satisfied, because I brought up roads again, and because the other townships I've been going to have been complaining about roads, but excuse me, I'm thinking about the wrong county here. Yeah, Moline. Yeah, Moline was very concerned about the road projects also, so I got together with Dave on that one too. Went to Highland Grove after that. There, they were concerned about the spraying going on, that we took care of the spraying. They thought some of the spraying should have been done already. They're working on it, so it's just, they just haven't got to all the places yet. But they're working on spraying. I think on our tour yesterday, we saw some of the Levy spurge that's out there that needs to be sprayed. Thursday, at the awards ceremony over the LEC, which, nice to see some of our people get recognized for some of the great work that they're doing. Yesterday, the county tour, which was very interesting. I really appreciated going through the diversion project. Probably all of us probably did. It was just really interesting to see how this whole project is gonna work out, you know, when you're talking, I don't know, 5, 6 years till its completion, probably even longer, I don't even know. So that's a big project, and just seeing how it's all starting out and gonna all work into place, and very interesting tour about the roads that we're working on and gonna work on. Last night I went to Cromwell Township. Again, a lot of discussion on roads. They're saying a lot of their rock, there's so much gravel coming off their roads that the rocks that were put in the road, big rocks that were put in the road, are coming up and causing some problems. So, again, I'll have a discussion more with Dave on that to see what we can do in that. From Cromwell, I went to Morgan Township. It was nice to get to a township that wasn't complaining about the roads, so they were very satisfied with the roads. Same way when I was in Spring Prairie, they're satisfied with the road conditions also. You know, but some of the other 3, 4 townships that I went to, I got a little bit of earful on the road, so. I mean, it's gonna be a tough year for roads, because it's really a dry year out there for now, which everybody knows is it's tough to move dust back and forth and make it look better, so it's just. And this afternoon, we had the PIC committee. There we discussed the veteran service officers, looking at possibly increasing, looking at the staff next year, so we told him to make it part of his budget next year if he's looking at for help and stuff like that, but he's looking at adding some staff hours over there. The other thing we discussed was that emergency order, which he just deleted. Another thing we're talking about is that guard over the security guard over the Family Service Center. I don't know, did we put that on the agenda next week, or?
Yes.
Are we gonna discuss that? No.
Next week, we'll have it on the agenda.
Yeah, we're gonna have an update on that to see how everybody feels about the guard over there. Do we need it or don't we? So, think about that for coming up next week. We also discussed having a public affairs officer on the county here, and making putting out notices and stuff like that. At this time, the FIC committee did not recommend going ahead with that project, but it was talked about. And then there was some discussion on the duties of the county administrator and assistant county administrator as far as sharing duties, and that was the extent of my meetings. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Ebinger.
Thursday, the 10th, had a special meeting. Commissioner Campbell chaired it with the West Central Regional Juvenile Center. Had a couple of the topics we needed to cover with the board. James O'Donnell and Josh Swanson were there. first item of discussion was the House and Senate files for control of disciplinary room time and searches that never made it through the legislature. We did discuss that we still have concerns, and we discussed some of the actions that were taken in meeting with state legislators and DOC personnel. If this comes back up, there seems to be a resolve to continue to make sure that we address our concerns with that. James also brought forward a topic we had earlier tonight, just his staffing issues. Pay doesn't seem to be the real issue there. 8 of the 14 people that have left in the last year, he did a study, left for lower paying jobs. They're losing people because they're moving into fields that they originally wanted to get into, law enforcement, social work, that type of thing. And also there's a great deal of stress in the job, and the hours were also identified, hours and shifts were identified as problems. We discussed additional exit survey approaches and a review of wages and training options and other issues that we may be able to do to show support for the staff. Monday the 14th, we had the Clay County Highway Department tour. Again, it was already covered by Commissioner Gross, but very good information from the diversion engineer, Chris Buckengard. Came with us for that portion, gave us some great information on the projects that are being done. The Red River structure, the Wild Rice structure, the diversion inlet, and the elevation of I-29, and a detour being put up so that part of the road can be elevated. We also went through several areas that are getting work or about to and need it during the tour. And we also looked at the Felton County pit and the adjacent prairie properties that the county owns. It was very interesting and informative. Later that day, I've had a couple of phone calls and meetings with Jennifer Darling, the diversion public outreach director, regarding the programs we're going to have this Friday around the P3 contracts and the WIFIA contracts. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Cully.
On Wednesday, the 9th, I attended the Extension Committee meeting. There is a recommendation to move one of the employees from a .5 position to either full-time or a minimum of .8. So they will discuss that with us when they come and do their budget presentation. In light of changes to communication styles after COVID, in the middle of COVID, they're looking at an app to connect with 4-H families. So they did a demonstration of this app. It's very well put together, and it would cost $500 annually for the county to use this app. The committee loved it. They're in favor of it. They're going to see if there's a way that they can come up with $500 for this year so that they can get it rolling right away. But that's another thing that they'll probably be talking to us about. I'm wondering if maybe that's something we could use some COVID dollars for. I don't know what the stipulations will be on that money yet, but something to think about. We had updates from 4-H master gardeners, Randy the horticulturalist, and for citizens to know different ways that they can be involved with Extension. Extension covers a lot of areas, but the Master Gardener will be enrolling again coming up this fall. There's also a Master Naturalist program. Aquatic invasive investigators are needed, and also citizens to take part in the bee mapping project with Extension as well. So you can head to their website to check out details on any of those things. On Wednesday, the 9th, I also attended the Moorhead Business Association meeting. Judy Lewis from the FMCT was presenting, and with the changes with the FMCT moving into the Yumcomb Center, I was curious to hear her presentation there. She said they have a goal of getting 50,000 new people through the door of that center, and we welcome them. I also attended the Law Enforcement Awards ceremony. If anybody is interested in a little bit more information on the 3 officers that received commendation that day, you can go to the Clay County Sheriff's Office Facebook page, and there's a post about Sergeant Ryan Alderman, Deputy Jason Lean, and Deputy Brandon Desitel, who received those awards. Thank you to those gentlemen for their service. Also attended the Highway Department Road Tour and Diversion Tour, which has been well covered. And on, let's see, Thursday, the 10th, I also attended the Soil and Water Conservation District meeting. They will be hiring somebody to work on scanning and digitizing a bunch of their documents. Talked about some Toewood sod map projects that are coming up. Updates from a variety of areas, including the Pollinator Habitat Project, Pheasants Forever biologist position update from Kevin, and assorted other things there. Today, I attended the Adult Mental Health Local Advisory Council. They discussed outreach projects coming up for this year and elected co-chairs. And then something interesting came up. I don't know if you guys saw this in the news or not, but we just had the closure of one of our 2 residential mental health treatment centers for youth in the state. So we're now down to 1 residential mental health treatment facility. I reached out to Rhonda Porter and also AMC about this because this has been going on for, I mean, I know people that struggled with finding a placement for a child a decade ago. So this is an ongoing issue and something that we should probably be paying attention to. There just isn't a place for these kids, and there's a variety of reasons why. That concludes my reports. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, myself, Highway, we had, on Tuesday, the 8th, we had a Highway Tracking meeting, and Commissioner Gross gave a good recap on that. I don't need to add anything further to that. On Thursday, June 10th, we had a regional juvenile detention meeting, a special meeting that was called to discuss the House and Senate files related to disciplinary room time and searches that were of concerning to us based on the dialogue we've had, and we'll continue to monitor that. And the staffing issues, and we did talk about making sure James, if necessary, puts, if the pay is an issue, I think we did talk to him about making sure that he's incorporates that into his budget request. And I think that was something that all member counties were kind of felt important about, that we can't be short-staffed. And if, you know, as Commissioner Ebinger said, it doesn't seem to be pay-related. It seems to be more deals with stress and anxiety than anything else right now. It goes on everywhere, I think, but we'll do what we can on that. That same day, we had our American Rescue Plan Act Committee. I refer to it as CARES 2. It's a little easier to say. And there were a number of topics there that we, you know, was just kind of kickoff to things that we're looking at. We've talked about detox issues, we talked about broadband issues, we talked about business issues, we talked about county reimbursement issues. And again, it's just kind of laying the groundwork for things to come on that. And obviously, as Commissioner Colley, you mentioned, there was one thing you were wondering about. I think it's important for all of our commissioners, if we see something there to that you think might be of significance or importance for us to, at least right now, flag anyway. So as we make these plans, we're aware of we hear things as a committee, but there might be things that we're not hearing that could be important. So make sure that you touch, I would suggest going through Steve on those things, and we can get them on a list to review. And then, moving on then, on Monday, the 14th, we did do the road tour, and the only thing that I would add to what all of you said is we happened to stop at the Felton Bar and Grill for lunch, and they had really good hamburgers and good service and good food. And I highly recommend that our citizens take a road trip once in a while to go to some of these establishments that we have in the rural areas to taste what they have to offer.
We won't charge you for that ad.
They would appreciate it, so. It was a,
Good meal.
yeah, it was very nice. And then we had the transfer station construction meeting, yes, on the Monday the 14th. And we kind of went through all of that today and did the actions that were needed for now on that. Then today I also had a Personal Issues Committee, and those have all been, I think Commissioner Gross gave a good outline on all of that, all of those issues. As we talk about the security at the Family Service Center, our PIC committee, it's obviously going to be on the agenda next week to have a discussion, but there will be a recommendation coming from our PIC committee on that, but we'll save that for next Tuesday. And then I also had a diversion chair's executive session today, and a lot of discussion regarding what's going to take place on Friday. There's a special diversion authority meeting at 1 o'clock on Friday. I know Commissioner Ebbing, you're going to try to get back from Fergus for that. I won't be able to make that meeting. I told him I could be available by phone if necessary. And then there is a P3 reception at 3:30 at the MCUMP Center that all of our county commissioners have been invited to, and Steve, you're going to be posting that. There will be no county business discussed at that meeting, but it still needs to be publicized because we would probably have more than two there. That, I believe, concludes my report. Steve, I know we're getting into our,
Yep. I'll make her quick. Last Tuesday, we were at highway tracking. That was covered by both Commissioner Campbell and Commissioner Gross. That morning, we also met with Joe, Kathy, Darren, Rhonda on the Family Service Center, space issues, remote work, and opening the Family Service Center, and the security officer. On the 9th, we had county management. We heard from Kathy, the budget 2022. We had discussed and reviewed the management retreat and talked about our Strive and remote work. On the 9th, participated in the Northwest Regional Administrator meeting in Detroit Lakes. We talked about the American Rescue funding, upcoming insurance, staffing issues that we're seeing across the region. On that afternoon, I also participated in the area administrators meeting. We talked again about American Rescue funding use of force letter that was sent out on the 9th. On the 10th, I participated in the American Rescue Fund meeting that's been discussed by Commissioner Campbell. On the 10th, also participated in a meeting talking about our detox facility and a potential grant opportunity. We're going to meet again next week on that. On the 10th, at a department head evaluation. Participated in the road tour and also the solid waste transfer meeting yesterday that's been covered. Met with Darren on a number of items on the PIC agenda, participated in the PIC meeting this afternoon. Kathy McKay wanted me to pass along that there is a one vaccination clinic this week. It's on the 17th, again from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. They'll have all three vaccinations with the second dose of Moderna. They're open to walk-ins again, but they can also register online. And again, Public Health continues to work with citizens who are homebound, and they're working with our education programs to schedule K through 12 schools coming up here later this summer. Just want to touch base, the special session did start this week. One of the things that I wanted just to bring forward is at the budget impasse, if that were to go, July 1st would be a potential shutdown. The state is starting to go through formalities and sending out letters that this is a possibility. We did receive a notification from our Department of Corrections this past week that would certainly impact our probation officers. We also have some other funding, delays, both with our juvenile center, our public health, and our social services in the event that they close down. And so hopefully they'll be able to come to some resolution here prior to that time. I would want to just make on a positive note, the June forecast for management and budget did come out and showed additional revenue receipts of 1.8 billion over projections, and so we're right around 2.1 billion now at the state as far as the projections this year of revenues over expenditures. And I would budgets are here. We're continuing to work on those. They're due Friday. Again, Lori and I will go through those budgets line by line, and we'll start. Colleen send out the invitations today, and they'll be coming to before this board here. Starting in July. I would just make a note, I talked to Lori this afternoon, and our sales tax continues to come in strong. We received our second payment for May, and just to put that in perspective, we received $100,000 more in May this year than we did last year. And that was last year we had a considerable amount from the previous 2019. Again, Friday, just a reminder, we have district meeting at Fergus Falls from 8 a.m. till noon. And Commissioner Campbell mentioned the Metro Flood Diversion Authority P3 award reception. We'll make our proper notifications to the media. That concludes my report.
All right, thank you. I did want to, Commissioner Colley had brought up about the law enforcement and award ceremony, and I'm glad that you did, and I know most of you were able to make that, and I just so that everybody knows I had a conflict on that one again. I had to be attending another meeting, so congratulations to those 3 recipients. Brian, do you have something?
If I could, I just wanted to advise the board, there was or have been some updates to the open meeting laws that went into effect as of May 6th. In looking that over, it takes a couple times to read through it. I think it was largely done to add an additional portion that allows for scheduling meetings during pandemic. So that was one portion of it. Beyond that, though, they did put some pieces within the statute from January 1 of 2001 through June 30th of 2001. They made it retroactive that you could be at any meeting remotely an unlimited amount of times if needed. So it's retroactive and then going through the next 2 weeks, really. Beyond, so starting July 1st, 2021 and beyond, if you have if you're advised from a healthcare professional to not be at the public meeting, then you can remote in, but you can only do that up to 3 times without violating the open meeting laws. So they limited the amount of times that you would do that. Otherwise, you would just not be present. So you need to have advice from a healthcare provider that you shouldn't be there, then you don't have to be there. Beyond that, if you were to try to, you could still remote in, but you have to give notice of where you're doing it from, and it needs to be open to the public. Not the meeting itself needs to be public, wherever you're doing it from needs to be open to the public. Meaning, if you're trying to do it from your home, it would be, meaning that's allowed and open for them to come to your home to, I guess, sit and watch you while you're remoting in, which.
Or if you're in a hotel in Florida.
Or, right, if you, I mean, you could put it out there and say you're in a hotel in Florida, it's open, so somebody could show up. I think it's allowing for to try to make it that remote can happen while we still have potential pandemic and health issues. It gives a limited amount. So I think, as Steve and I were talking about, if and when these come up in the future, if we just talk about it and make sure, we obviously don't want to violate the open meeting laws, but it gives a limited amount option to do Zoom or Teams hearings in the future. So I thought I'd just give that notice to you, and again, if it comes up in the future, we can definitely be talking about it.
Thank you for that, Brian. Anything else? Clean, anything? All right. All right, we are adjourned.